Polly, thanks. Now, the days of sending children off to school with nothing more than a pencil case and a packed lunch are long gone. New research has revealed just how much the contents of an average satchel have changed, and the value of pupils' belongings might really surprise you. Open a school bag 30 years ago and the most costly item may have been a calculator. A computer would have looked something like this, and parents may have been pestered for the latest pencil case. Fast forward to today though, and it seems a school bag's contents can be more valuable than a mum's handbag. New research shows children take an average of £120 worth of gadgets to school. 1 in 10 children take a tablet computer to primary school, and over half take a smartphone to senior school. It's widely accepted that electronic gadgets are part of everyday life, but should they be a must-have item for children at school? Well, should they? Let's find out, shall we? And joined now by the LBC radio presenter Nick Ferrari and technology researcher and expert Vicky Beeching. Good to have you both on the programme tonight. Nick, what did you think of that report? Are you surprised by the amount and the cost of gadgets that children have these days?
Actually, I think £120 is a bit low. I feared it was going to be a lot more, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Can I just remind all the viewers that the idea of going to school is to learn, is to be educated. Now, is there a role within some lessons that we see how computers work? Yes, of course there is, but it doesn't work. I mean, the most exotic thing I think I went to school was a slide rule.
When was that, though?
Yeah, that was the turn of the previous century before last. Now, many of your viewers will now be getting on Google and finding out what a slide rule is, and I didn't understand that. But no, it doesn't work. It's not right for the children. They're there to learn, and most importantly of all, as I think you know, I present a radio show in London, and it marks them out as sadly, it marks them out as potential targets to be robbed.
Okay.
It's nuts.
Vicky, what do you think? Is there a place for these gadgets in school?
I think there is, and I think it's a really false dichotomy to set up education against technology, because we're in an era now where to be properly educated means to be digitally literate. So we might send our kids to school and say it's crucial that you learn to read and write. But actually, I don't know about your handwriting, mine is terrible. And it's not really a massive skill needed in the employment world today, whereas being familiar with these gadgets is. So I think if we actually set these up as competing elements, you know, technology or education, we're not really raising digital kids.
Do you know, there is nothing nicer than a handwritten note or card. If you
Will it get
go
you a
away,
job, is my question.
Actually, it might. Actually,
Possibly,
you know what?
possibly.
You know what it might. And what are you going to do when the lights go out or when the power fails? I mean, listen, I think you're great, and we've debated many times before. But
yeah.
you now, I'm sorry to do this, you are part of the generation. If that when you go and get your shopping and the till fails, you can't add up £1.59 for half a dozen eggs
my door.
and 65p for a pint of milk and give me change out of £3. You can't do it, and that's wrong.
We've had loads of tweets on this, Vicky.
Tweets, there we go. Could someone write me a letter?
Oh, it takes too long to get here, doesn't it, Nick? But on this issue, Vicky, maybe you can answer a couple of these. Sam Sweeney says they should just take the basics to school. It never does any harm. You have to think the kids that can't afford that type of stuff and they get bullied for not having them.
And it does. That is the ethical question.
But it does create a two-tier system, the haves and have-nots, and it's pretty obvious, isn't it? If you don't have a smartphone or a tablet,
well, I think we're in an
an
interesting period, I think, where the technology is so new. At some point soon, schools will have this as a norm. At the moment, it's often needing to come from parents.
Even for families who can't? I mean, they're expensive things,
but I think in
aren't they?
years to come, schools will actually just have this in the same sense that they have exercise books and pens. So at the moment, it's a difficult time. It's teething problems with a new gadget, and you know, families are having to provide them for their children. But we're looking to a situation where education will be digital. So I think we need to get our kids on board as quick as we can.
But there goes the art of conversation. Sorry, doesn't it mean people that just have their heads buried in their computers?
That's such a negative portrayal of technology. If you see the communication it opens up, you know, think about Google, think about Wikipedia. I'm doing a PhD at the moment. The way I'm learning is so different to how I could have learned 10 years ago.
Think also of the legions of children who struggle to hold a conversation. They are so computer literate, they can probably land an aircraft, they can do whatever they like.
Well, why
but
do
they
the two
can't
have to be in juxtaposition?
Because they devote their time, they live their lives on the net or on the, they don't actually talk.
So do you think that's not real?
I think it's very damaging. I think the idea of a family, I know I'm old-fashioned, I know I appreciate a family mealtime where people actually talk about what they did is fantastic.
Because I suppose if things hadn't changed, we'd still be kind of going back to school when you were at school, or we were at school, where it was like a chalk and a blackboard. I mean, technology needs to change, doesn't it? We need to go with them.
Oh, of course. And I say again, listen, I'm not saying we mustn't have, of course, and computers are fantastic, and I consider it, and they should be part of studies. But I mean, I do think that it's desperately unfair. And also the rows. If a kiddie drops a smartphone and it costs £500 and it smashes on the ground.
It's true, but I wonder if we'd been around the same time when the printing press came into being, you know,
What do you
better
mean
not take these books. Better not.
What do you mean?
If your kids were still at school, how would you feel that their school bag was more valuable than your briefcase when you went to work?
That my kids got their first mobile phones at 11. I think that's right when they go to big school, but it would have been a very basic
And
phone.
Vicky, what do you think about that?
I think we need to look at the next generation, invest in them. If my children had more in their bags than I did monetary-wise, I would think that was appropriate, because you're saying to them, you need to learn, your era is going to be different to mine.
Okay.
Go for it.
Do you know how to use a slide rule? Does anybody?
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Well, that's it from us. Don't forget, you can have your say in all the stories that we're covering. We'll see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Bye-bye.